very own CVA, Nancy Volavka, who's going to be talking about refine your communication and interpersonal skills. And on the agenda, I didn't have it correct. I apologize to Nancy about that. So, are you ready to go? Okay, we're going to let you begin your presentation.
Thunderous.
So, you're ready to go. Please begin with.
Good morning. 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 Find myself here. Okay. We'll kind of give you a hint on the topic because of the title. But look at these things and tell me what they all represent, how they tie together. There's listening. If I talk in a loud voice or a soft voice. If I'm sitting and talking, I'm going to have my legs crossed a certain way, if I haven't crossed at all. If my eyes are darting around. I'm not looking at you straight on. What outfit I'm wearing. If I twitch. My choice of eyewear. Maybe it's my hairstyle. I mean, I'm frowning all the time. What do all those things tell you?
It's all nonverbal.
Lots of them are. Absolutely.
Perception.
Perception. But it's also communication, right? I mean, we pick up a lot of things by, and this is just a minute list, we pick up a lot of things about somebody, and whether we want to admit it or not, stereotype, judge somebody like that, no matter what they're saying. We kind of have our own idea.
Hairstyle.
Yes?
Dang, what does it say?
So today's topic, as Mike said, is communication, interpersonal skills. And I'm Nancy Volavka. I work here at OU-Tulsa. Okay, according to the Volunteer Bible, as we refer to it, which I meant to bring and I didn't, but administrators and volunteers mobilize, lead, and manage volunteers. Does anybody have any idea why they're in that order? Mobilize, lead, and manage? Well, we can't manage them until we lead them. We can't lead them until we get them mobilized to follow us, right? So it's kind of a three-step process. So by communication and interpersonal skills, we extend our communication to others in the organization and in the community, right? What we say, who we represent, our organization that we work for, you know, that's what people think of us as. And if I went out in the community and I was a terrible, terrible person, it would come back bad on OU because I work there. So we represent who we are, who we work for, who our friends are. We represent a lot of things. So, you know, we have the ability and the access as volunteers, administrators, and CVAs to talk to a lot of people. So putting our best foot forward is always, you know, not that it wouldn't be appropriate, but the best thing to do. So how do we refine our skills? I mean, do we even have anything wrong with our skills?
No.
No.
We're perfect.
We're perfect. Sometimes we all think that because we know what we mean, but it doesn't come across. Have you ever talked to somebody and they're like, and you go, you have to think a minute, and you go, oh, that didn't come out right. That's not how I meant it at all. And I've offended someone, or I made them mad, or whatever. So we learn valuable skills as a volunteer administrator, and we transfer those skills to other people in other settings. And we also have the ability, to help coach brand new volunteers or brand new volunteer administrators coming up in the ranks. Somebody tell me the definition of a cultural lens. What is that? John?
Viewing life, viewing life and activities and everything through whatever culture we are associated with. Or culture sometimes.
Culture. Doesn't always have to be culture. Could be gender, could be age, could be where you were born and raised, could be where your statue in life is right now, could be your education, could be a lot of things, but it's how you perceive things. So how do you think this affects respect, responsibility, and trustworthiness, which are three of the core values of CVAs? How does communication affect those things? and interpersonal skills. A lot, doesn't it? So we create a social climate where we meet human needs and make that possible. You know, we have to remember we need to involve people in decision making. I don't think anybody thinks it's not irritating to be involved in an actual decision and not be consulted by the person making the decision of how they're going to do something. It's like, hey, I'm the one doing this. So we have to remember that if someone's involved in the actual act, we need to involve them in the decision process. They, more than anyone, needs to have clear communication with us on what's going on. Cultural lens also contributes to creative and responsible social development and change. And we all change. We don't have the same cultural lens that we did 20 years ago. Maybe sort of the same because that's how we were raised and those traits are ingrained in deeply in us. But we've learned through experience, through education, through meeting different people, different places, to be a little flexible. Oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe that person's not like that. So we adapt, we grow. And also we extend and enhance the work of employed persons in many fields and settings. Just because we're volunteer administrators doesn't mean we just work with volunteers. We work with organizations, we work with CEOs, we work with presidents of organizations, we work outside in another organization. So we are around a lot of people at a lot of times. Can somebody tell me what the other three, you CBAers, what the other three core values are?
Citizenship and philanthropy, justice and fairness,
Yeah, fair enough.
Starts with a C.
citizenship
Care
and
and compassion.
caring.
Just throw that in there. I have to look them up too, don't feel that. Okay, so respect. Respect. There's different categories under respect, which remember respect, responsibility. Those were the core values that we're going to talk about today in communication. Self-determination. Well, the volunteer administrator, VA, accepts the responsibility to involve people in decisions that directly affect them. And we talked about that a minute ago. And lots of times it has to do with our ability to communicate and our ability to interpersonal skills with that person. Nonverbal skills, verbal skills. Mutuality, mutual benefits inherent in any act of volunteer services. So do we always communicate with others what we're planning on doing, or do we have a plan in mind and we only halfway communicate with someone because it makes sense to us? So we just assume through osmosis other people get the idea.
You mean us doing this? Excellent is not
Yes,
neutrality.
Yes. We're only telling half of the project. You know, the direction, and the person that's doing it doesn't understand because they don't know where their piece came from or where their piece is going. It doesn't make sense. So, you know, they're confused and they don't get the whole drift. Well, if we communicate totally, it helps them understand what's going on. And it also helps us get better work and productivity from that person. Human dignity. Respect and enhance the human dignity of all persons involved. You know, you may not personally care for the traits or the person of somebody walking in that door, but they're them and you are you. And maybe the idea is reciprocal on their part. So we all have to remember, even though we don't maybe care for them so much as a person, you're not going out to lunch with them. You're working with them. So there's a difference there, a friend or a professional peer. Understanding each potential volunteer helps to develop a plan, a philosophy of how to work with each other. Everybody has different work ethics, everybody has different work habits. So my habit may drive Brenda nuts and Brenda's habit may drive me nuts. But this is how I work, this is how she works. But the end result, as long as it gets done, doesn't really make any difference.
Some people.
To some people. Privacy. Respect the privacy of individuals and safeguard information, including written, electronic, audio, visual, and verbal formats identified as confidential. And you remember, we're almost like human resources as far as keeping names, keeping information, keeping social security numbers, keeping background checks. All of that's private and confidential. So we have to have it secured someplace. And by doing all these things, it not only helps us be organized and professional, but it helps outsiders or people within our organization on a different level look at us and realize that we are professional people and we're handling and modeling our department professionally. So it ultimately gives the volunteer department more credibility within the organization. The second core value was responsibility. Well, staff relationships. It's really important to get staff on board with volunteers, isn't it? Because if we don't let them know what's going on, they feel intimidated, they feel like maybe their job's in jeopardy because now they're training this other person who is working for free. So they're paranoid. They don't want to share all their information because it's job security. That's human nature. But if we let them know that volunteers are an extension of their work and their jobs are not in jeopardy and we value their mentorship and their training, it makes for a happy family. Professional responsibility. Again, we have to be credible in the eyes of not only who we work with, but who we associate with and what we do. Diligence. You know, reliable, careful, prepared, and well-informed. We have to communicate that. We all know doing one's best, not doing a slip-slop job. Persevere. You know, when the going gets tough sometimes, we just have to keep on going. So we need to seek to overcome obstacles in order to excel in what we do. And then continuous improvement, whether it be taking a class, getting a certificate in something, going back to school, just reading a book. You know, continuously improving. Self-disclosure and self-restraint, that's decision-making with the intent of advancing long-term greater goals. Privacy and or protection of vulnerable population rests with the VA. Again, you know, if you're working in a hospice care, you're working with children, you have to take all those background checks and all that paperwork and restrictions and bear that in mind before you place someone out there. Because you are ultimately responsible for making sure those people with that vulnerable population are on the up and up. And keep your stakeholders informed. If the people that you work for don't know what you're doing, they might just think you're just sitting there. So it's always good to communicate and say, hey, yesterday I had this event and this many people showed up and this was what the outcome was. It just kind of keeps them in the loop and lets them know that your department within that organization is actually doing something out there to represent that company. And then make sure your program meets or exceeds the expectations. And all of these involve supervisory training, sharing of tasks, position description, policies, procedures, and again, inviting paid staff to work with you so that they know what's going on. The last one is trustworthiness. Well, honest, truthful interactions, candor, be fair and forthright, bring that across to people when you communicate with them. Be sincere, you know, don't get a reputation of stretching the truth or maybe leaving out important details. Principled, the VA works to promote the core ethical values that we talked about a minute ago. Moral courage, sometimes it's not always easy to do the right thing, is it, if everybody else is, let's do it this way. But if you know, deep down in your heart, that this is the right thing to do, it takes moral courage to say, no, this is what we have to do, and this is the reason why. And then be reasonable of commitments, you know, be realistic in what you expect from people. So all in all, communication is not only one-on-one or one to a team or one to a group, it's 360 degrees, right? I can communicate all day long with you, but if you don't reciprocate back to me and tell me how you interpret what I say, or how you think about what I say, or maybe how you disagree with what I say, we don't learn from each other, do we? There's really no communication. It's me up here giving you a lecture and you being like a student who just absorbs the information. I'm not learning from you. And that's what a learning situation should be. So we need to communicate responsibility, accountability, and standards. So even though there's two-way conversations, remember it's 360 degrees. Any volunteer, even those that are dismissed or quit showing up, they're no longer acting within your organization, will carry the message of your organization. That's communication. And that could be good, and that could be bad. So they're communicating things out there that you may not even be aware of. Maybe about you, maybe about your supervisory skills, maybe about where you put them, maybe about the organization, how the organization was treating them while they were out there. So they always say that if someone has something bad to say, they'll tell at least 10 people. And those people tell, each one tells 10 more, so it gets up there. Oh, where's my deal? Oh, communicate with colors. I don't know where my graphic went. Communicate with colors. So this sounds funny, but we do communicate, and it did print out, didn't it? I mean, I know it's black and white.
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Okay, so communicating with colors is really something that we don't think about when we think about communication, is it? And of course, nothing has anything on it. So, here it is. The science of color is sometimes called chromatics, chromatography, colorimetric, or simply color science. So why is this important? Do you all ever think about colors? What color should I paint the bedroom? What color should I paint the bathroom? What color if I'm going to open a restaurant? What color should I paint a restaurant if I was getting ready to open one? Any idea?
Probably red.
Exactly, and why?
For some reason, red makes you want to eat more.
And it makes you more energy, you want to stay there longer. Yep, and it makes you hungry. Red makes you hungry. So I'm communicating a lot with my guests and not doing a thing. They're just sitting next to a red wall, aren't they? Interesting. And I'm sorry the graphics didn't show up. They did on my computer, so I don't know. So it includes the perception of color by the human eye and the brain. The eye and the brain, the mouth, the ears, it all works together. So there's lots of things that are going on. Think about your office at work. If you had to give someone bad news, what color office walls would you prefer to have for calm, to make your people calm?
Baby blue or.
That's right. That's good. That's absolutely right. Absolutely.
So if you go into Lisa's office and it's baby blue, then you know.
Yeah.
My cubicle walls are blue.
Very calming, soothing.
I understand why my graphics didn't.
It's weird.
Okay, use colors to your advantage. This is what it's supposed to look like. Red shows passion, energy, increases energy. It stimulates appetites and conversation, which is why it's great for restaurants. Blue is relaxing, it's soothing, it's calming. Yellow is cheery, happy, but if I have the primary color yellow, whoa, that makes you tired. So muted colors. Okay. Warm colors are radiant and cozy. They seem to advance, so they make small rooms appear smaller and larger rooms more intimate, which again is why a restaurant, a big area like that, would paint it that color. Cool colors have a calming effect. They make a room feel colder though. So if you don't have a lot of natural light in that room, don't use cool colors because it makes it chilly. It makes it seem cool and not intimate. Neutral colors would be like light gray and black, which can be used together, and then bringing in, accent colors of what you want to, how you want the room to look. Primary colors are really, like I said, the yellow. If you think about primary colors of kids, they're really bright colors. And would you want to work in an office with 4 walls painted bright yellow or bright red or bright? No, it's too much. So those muted colors are bringing in the whites or the grays or the blacks, tones that down. Blue is great for bedrooms. It can also improve focus and productivity, which is why it's used for offices, besides the calming effect. It's also great for a child's study area. It's a clean color. It's great for laundry rooms, if there's a lot of light. If you have a small laundry room with no light, blue is probably not the color, because it makes the room a little chilly if it doesn't have the natural light coming in. Red, we talked about red. It stimulates appetite and conversation, but it also increases blood pressure and heart rate. So if you work in an office that's continually give bad news to people, like, I don't know, HR Like employee evaluation, that may not be your color. Yellow, soft buttery yellows are easier to live with than, the stark yellow. Soft yellows are also more calming. And they're perfect for poorly lit rooms. Those that you want natural light to come in, but you don't have the natural light. So irritating, this don't have my graphics. So when we communicate by voice and by the things that we see from each other, but we also communicate 65% on nonverbal things, like on that first slide that I showed you. Facial expressions, tone of voice, movement, appearance, eye contact, gestures, posture, just to name a few. So you can see that the words are only 35%. So there's a lot of things that we communicate that we're not even aware of, but the other person's already developing an idea. Should I believe what they're saying? Yeah, they seem true. We're all thinking that. I mean, it's split second through our mind, but we all have those feelings. Well, this is nice. Okay. This is what was on here.
Use our imagination.
Yeah. Physiology, expressions, postures, gestures, tone. How loud, how soft, our inflection, our pitch, how we speak, if we stimmer and stammer or whatever. Words, do we use the right words, do we pause to get the point across, just different things like that. So based on your experience, when you found yourself in a confrontational situation, how do the roles of listening, verbal and nonverbal, as well as passively speaking play? Do you know all this is going on? No, we don't think about it. It's kind of like we don't think about our respiration and our digestion and our breathing. If we had to think about all that thing, we wouldn't be able to do anything else. But this is something that when we communicate with people, we portray to that other person and we don't even know it.
So many times, whomever is talking in a confrontational just wants to be confrontational, and the listening, and that's all they want.
If someone's confrontational and yelling, or talking loudly, I should say, what would you do? How would you respond back to them?
I just have to listen, or I'll get
Listening is
caught
good,
up in
and
it.
paraphrasing, to make sure you understand. The worst thing you can do is try to out-yell a yeller, because it only infuriates them and they're only going to get louder. But here's the secret to that. If that person is talking so loud and you have something to say, either you need to get out of my office now, or I'm going to write you up, or have a nice, whatever you're going to say, you talk in a normal voice, if not just a little bit lower. Because in order for them to hear you, they have to bring down. But if you're just screaming right at the same, then they're just escalating. Well, now I have problems with my link that I was going to show you. I don't know. What kind of experiences have you had with comparing verbal and nonverbal communication? Does anybody want to share something? It just really annoys me with that. Like I said before, have you said something and you go, and the person reacts not like you intended for what your statement to mean, and you're like, oh, no, I didn't mean it that way. You took it wrong. Well, maybe you said it the right way. I could sit up here and I could tell Brenda, have a nice day, or hey, Brenda, have a nice day. It means two different things, even though the words are the same, right?
I think we have it too, though, especially when we're doing screening or interviewing for volunteers and stuff. I mean, we're trying to tell them what it is, but the nonverbal gestures and stuff that they're giving back to us, it's kind of a clue on whether that is the person that you think is really going to fit into your organization and really understands
Right.
what you're doing.
See, you're making a call right there.
You do, yeah, and that's what part of our job is, that we do the screening and the interviewing to make sure that they're going to fit. And sometimes it's very hard. I think we understand what the opportunity is, and we understand the passion that should go on. But conveying it sometimes is very difficult, especially if we're having 15,000 other things that we gotta do for that day, and we just wanna get that screening done really fast. So sometimes we don't communicate to them really well, and sometimes they just are, I mean, it's like the shades are pulled and the light bulbs turned off, and you wonder, why are they there?
But they may pick up on that nonverbal signal that you're trying to rush them out, and they don't understand all the things, the commitments that you've got going on, so they take it personally. We all take stuff like that personally. So it's like, well, they must not like me because they're acting like, hurry up and get in and get out. I don't feel comfortable here, or whatever. So they're picking up on what they see. They don't know what's going on behind the backgrounds. These were such cute little pictures. This so annoys me. I don't know if you can tell that well from the black and white one. Can you tell?
Mhm.
How many of you have kids? How many of you know that little look? Can you see it very well with black and white? She's standing there with
It's very expressive.
pouting. Yeah, she's ticked off about something. That tells us, right? She's not a happy little girl. The next one, our president.
He's gone to his happy place.
He's gone to his happy place, yeah. Or he's bored, or he's getting ready to get mad, one or the other. Okay? Again, I apologize. I don't understand why that's not coming up. And then the last one, you know, when we point at somebody, some people like that, some people don't like that. So be careful, because again, there's that cultural lens. It's kind of like, you did this. Well, we take that personally. It was a mistake, it was a problem. If I point at you, it makes it look like it's all your problem. So, every facet of our personality is revealed through our appearance, our body language, gestures, facial expressions, our overall demeanor, our posture, and our movements. I had someone come in not too long ago that needed, we did a mock interview. And this person came in and sat in the chair, and there's not one up here for me to, but slumped down. I mean, you know, with his rear clear to the front, just stretched out.
Oh,
Are
we
you
want to
demonstrate?
see.
Yeah. She wants me because I can't, that's all I'm sure. But what did that tell me?
How did it happen? Oh my gosh.
What did that tell me?
They were not interested at all.
No, they weren't interested at all.
They're there because mommy sent them.
Yeah, you know, they had a burr. Yeah.
Or sometimes, and just knowing that generation, because I get a lot of them that come in, sometimes they don't know.
Well, they do when they sit that way in my office.
Well, that's
They
okay.
don't.
That some of them just have
They
never
have
made
lesson
the, some of them have never made the connection
That's
that
right.
that shows, you know, and so
That's right.
sometimes I'll say, do you realize what you're saying to me right now?
That's right,
Especially when I'm in it's a teaching moment, right? You had a
That's right.
teaching moment.
that's right.
And I think that is important, because we at the police department too, we have a lot of, you know, high school interns,
Right.
and that is our job, to teach them to get ready for the, you know, you say it in a nice way, but I just call it my mama tone, my mama voice, you know, it's like, look, if this was a real job, I would
That's
not
right.
hire you, because
That's right,
you're
because
not.
you're telling me
yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
You're telling me you don't want to be here, you don't really care about me. So if I hire you, are you going to represent my company by like that? Because if you sit like that in front of me, who you're trying to make you should be trying to make an impression on, what are you going to be like on the phone? What are you going to be like when someone walks in the door? So, again, verbal tone, speed. You know, if I talk really fast, I'm going to make you all nervous. I talk fast enough as it is, but would make you all nervous. Or if I talk so slow, everybody in here is asleep, right? Maybe you are. No. So, if someone's continually clearing their throat, it might start to irritate you and bother you because you're thinking more about that than what they're saying. They might have a cold, they might not be able to hold it. But that's what you're doing. Could be a
But-
nervous tick, you might say, for them when they get up in front of you. Well, I mean, you know, we don't know what's going
It
on.
shows uncomfortability.
Yeah.
It can be a defense mechanism.
Exactly. We talked about the type of glasses, hairstyle, makeup, chair slouching, and gestures. If I came in here and I made no eye contact with anyone, what would you all think?
That you don't care, that you're aloof.
Aloof? Or I'm
Or you're not confident.
not confident, or I'm not telling the truth. Now, this is a lecture, so, but If you met somebody on the street, please try, if you met somebody that didn't make eye contact with you, that's the first thing you notice. Ooh, shady. They're hiding something. Maybe not, maybe they're just shy,
We find that
really shy.
mostly with the young people, the lack of eye contact.
Now, do you
Even-
suppose
even
that
more
has
than
to
the
do with
slurping, and I
so much
Social media.
texting and so
Yeah.
much,
Right.
there's no
Yeah.
social, I like the guy in the chair. Okay, so remember nonverbal signals. Nonverbal signals are have 5 times the impact as verbal. So actions do speak louder than words. Remember 65 to 35%. I'm not so sure this isn't stuck.
Well, let's poke at it and see what happens.
There's
Nothing
no
there. There's nothing there. Oh, good Lord.
Hi there. It's being slow on its loading. We noticed earlier.
But it's still
Well,
on.
it's not there. You may have a different version of PowerPoint than they have.
Did you do it on an Apple or did you?
No. No, I didn't
On the
hear.
office computer.
I guess so. Well, I'm so sorry. This was so cute.
Did you bring up an older version on your flash drive just now? Okay, because it looks like it's not even there.
This is really, we should see the pictures on this.
We have them on here. Everything's on
I
here.
know, but they're black and white and they're little. But anyway, George Bush. Terrible expression. What's that telling us?
He's not
angry.
Getting ready.
Disgusted.
Getting ready, isn't he? And then if somebody you're talking to is happy, smiling, cheering, makes a big difference in your attitude, right? How you communicate. So the facial expressions for happiness, sadness, anger, and fear are similar, not all the time the same throughout the world, but similar. Gestures. How many times have we seen this gesture? Pop the hand. I'm not listening. I mean, that says a whole lot when somebody does it. They don't even have to say, talk to the hand. I'm not listening, right? No answer? Huh? Oh. And then some people talk with their hands a lot. Some people stand like this. Now, what does this mean if I'm standing up here like this?
Bless you.
Anybody have any idea what crossed arms mean? Now, it could mean I'm cold, so this isn't an exact science. Could be I just feel this is a comfortable stance for me to stand too. It's just, you can't always say, oh, she's got her arms crossed, so therefore.
It doesn't mean that it's really,
Bless you.
like, don't enter my personal space. This is, I don't want you.
That's,
Close
it,
to
yeah, it
me.
could. I'm blocking you. It also means
Defensive, forward.
I have my ideas, I'm really not receptive. I really don't care what you think. Because I'm right. I want to listen to you. But like I said, not all the time. Could be a comfortable position.
Wait, that's a cultural issue too,
Yep.
because I know in some, I believe it's Asian cultures, that's actually the proper way to stand when you're paying attention.
So not all the time.
So we have to, not so much in this country, but especially when we're dealing with some people.
That's why we always have to pay attention to their cultural lens too. I mean, they're looking at us too. The next page, arms, hands on hips. I think we all know what that stance means. Someone has darting eyes. Again, what are they hiding? Are they telling the truth? And I can't think what her name is right now, the actress. But she's aghast or shocked or taken back by what somebody said. That's the impression I get from that expression. And then when you shake hands with someone. Now in this particular case, it looks to me like a male and a female, which is pretty much a courtesy to not squish the female's hand. But, when people shake hands, the person's hand who is on top has control of the situation. So,
Bless you.
like I said, this is a male and female, so that probably is a little different. The next slide is sort of the opposite of what we talked about before. If my hands are out like this, I'm receptive to what you have to say. Did you find it, Brenda?
She's coming.
I'm receptive to, I'm open to what you have to say. The one in the middle? Yeah, right. And the next one is getting ready to have a headache or a breakdown in front of the computer. So, that tells us a lot. If you were gonna go in there at that moment in time and your boss was doing this and you decided that I've waited long enough, I need a raise, that might not be the best time to go in.
The girl has chocolate.
Yes, you need something.
Take her chocolate.
Okay, the slide with the feet. Okay, notice how one foot's in front of the other? Does anybody know what that means?
Could be tapping. What does that mean?
If I'm talking here to this person and I have my foot in front going another direction, I really want to get away from this conversation.
Right, it's a leading foot.
So if you talk to somebody that's standing there like that, they're not comfortable talking to you. They really want to escape.
So if you need to put a foot in front of it, make sure you got the foot pointed towards.
That's right, that's right. And then we talked about the pointed, nothing I think infuriates anybody more than,
And heaven forbid actually tapping chest.
that's right. You notice the guy here in the middle, she's leaning up against the locker. So she's pretty, well, you guys, you know what that means. He's showing, may not be the word, demonstrating his control, authority, gender. She can't go anywhere. There's a locker behind her.
Now, if she were slumped and a little more comfortable, then it could be a real casual, cozy conversation.
Yeah.
But she's pretty upright and tense, right?
Well, either that or
But he also has his hands in his pockets. It's just,
Well, but he has his hands in his pocket.
it looks like, it looks like it.
Wow.
And then the last picture,
Boy, oh boy.
yeah, she doesn't like that. She doesn't like that contact with him putting his arm on her shoulder.
And he kind of has an in the boob.
Yeah. So. Oh,
Why don't you close out and bring it back up
I
again?
wonder if that would help. Close all the way out.
Close all of
you
them
think?
out and come back.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Go down to
Why is it even picking up the
Recent.
drive?
Go to my computer.
Did you take your drive off?
Oh, is that the problem?
Right.
Slight problem. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Oh.
What a gal, what a gal.
But yeah, we pulled it over onto the desktop though, right?
No, I just opened
Slide
it,
on the desktop.
minimized it. I didn't pull it on the desktop.
Should I call her and tell her to come?
Well, I don't know, let's see if it opens.
Oh, you're there.
You think?
Yeah.
See if the pictures are there.
Yeah, the video.
I just deer.
Go all the way down.
Oh, here we go. Communicate with colors, we've done. Science.
So excited.
Here's my color wheel. It's a good thing I don't get embarrassed very easy. Here's our verbal, nonverbal. And I want to play that, but I'm going to get caught up with the pictures first. Here's a little girl. Here's Bush. Here's his look. I mean, really, the color photos do better.
Thank you so much.
Talk to the hand. I'm comfortable with my own ideas. I don't really care about yours. This is a male and female, but you see how the hands are sort of even here, but if someone has control, they're on top.
So she has control?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell with that because it's a gender thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice handshake. You know how sometimes females will shake hands with the guys, crunch. I mean, your rings go into your finger, it's hers. So maybe it's just being baby, I don't know. And then we talked about her, about it's not a good time to ask for a raise. Okay. Paralinguistics has to do with the tone of your voice, the loudness, inflection, and the pitch. You know, sometimes when we say things in a loud tone, we really don't mean it in a loud tone. We're just so caught up in the exact details, we get louder. My kids always tell me that. I'm yelling, I'm not yelling, I want to make sure you get this done right. So, you know, but we sometimes get louder like that. So I'm like, the louder you talk, you think the details are going to be clear to them, but instead they're like, whoa. So lots of times people shut down when you talk too loud, and they don't listen. Language and posture. He doesn't look too interested. But we all learned this in school. The intimate space we reserve for those that we're closest with. And then if someone came up here and talked to me, I'd expect, you know, the comfortable distance between the two. Have you ever talked to somebody who's right there in your face? And again, that's a cultural thing.
Close enough.
Makes us uncomfortable. We keep backing up and they keep coming forward. Then there's the social, and then there's the public space. In Germany, an arm's length plus is normal. My neighbors are German, and they shout at each other, I think, all the time, but they're perfectly happy. I mean, that's just the way they are. Japan also, and Germany, if the space is less than that, it's considered an infringement on their personal space. So they don't like to be back a little bit. They also don't touch when speaking because that's seen as an invasion of privacy. So if you don't know that, or you work with someone, or you meet with someone who's from Germany or Japan, and you're a touchy-feely person, and I am, so when I talk, I just touch an arm or a shoulder, that would not go over well with them. So our communication, our interpersonal skills would be in jeopardy. Public places such as subways and market in Japan, it's normal to push up against each other, even though when they're talking, they like a little bit of distance. But they're used to shoving because there's so many people. In China, little privacy. If you conduct business in China, you could be taken to a spa and expected to be a nude spa.
Oh.
Nothing's wrong with that. I mean, that's just their culture.
I was headed toward body wraps, facials, and.
And in the Middle East, the left hand is reserved for body hygiene and considered, not dirty, but considered untouchable. Yes, unclean. The right hand is used for eating. So touching the left hand, if you were just talking with someone and you happen just to touch their left hand, it's an infringement of their privacy. That's taboo. So, you know, thumbs up is often considered an offensive gesture in places other than. So all those things you have to take into consideration, because you could very easily offend someone and not even have any idea why. Eye gaze, how we look at people, how we stare at people, you know. If someone stares at you all the time, it makes you uncomfortable, right? You know, you think, oh my gosh, I've got a stalker, or whatever. When you like someone or something, our blinking increases and our pupils dilate, which tells the other person a whole lot in nonverbal skills, nonverbal communication. Haptics is touching. And like I said, I'm one of those touchy-feely people that talk and touch at the same time. That's just me. Some people don't. They're very uncomfortable, and you have to pick up on their backing up that they don't like that. And you know, that's why babies, it's so important for babies to have physical human contact. Because we're humans, we need that touch, we need communication like that with other human beings. That's just part of our makeup. Harry Harlow's classic monkey study, baby monkeys raised by wire mothers experience permanent deficits in behavior and social interaction. So there's nothing like that can compensate for touch. appearance. Here's a guy coming to you wanting a job. Okay? You automatically in your mind notice he's got a trimmed haircut. He's clean shaven, warm smile, seems full of confidence, he's formally dressed, he's got a firm handshake, and he's got correct body posture. You don't even think about those things. You just absorb those things in your mind as you meet him. It might automatically make you like him, which will make it the interview easier for him, right?
He may not have a
He
list
may
of
not, but he looks
qualifications.
great, doesn't he? So our choice of a lot of things depends and influences nonverbal communication. So do we refine or not refine? Well, communication and interpersonal skills help recruitment. They help us interpret applications, volunteer, or if you work in an HR department. They help us interview people. If you act bored, as Jennifer was talking about that one person, if you act bored, then I'm either portraying something across to you wrong, or you really don't want to be here, and we need to figure that out. Volunteer placement. Are you a people person, or are you a thing person? Some people aren't people person. They would be just happier than no get out to be in the back sorting cans of food. Other people want to be where the action is. They want to be where the people are. Supervision of volunteers. How do I supervise different people? Depends on their personality also. Some people like a direct approach. Some people like every step. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? Some people like that confirmation that they're on the right track. Other people like, just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it. And you don't hear or see from them until they have a problem or until the product's done, finished product. Recognition efforts. Maybe someone is just totally embarrassed to get up in front of people and take a trophy and say thank you. It makes them very uncomfortable. Support services. Lead, train, or mentor. Maybe two personalities don't really work together that well. Maybe you have an extrovert and an introvert, which may work together, but may not work together. So you have to know your people. Negotiation skills and written skills. So do a SWOT analysis on yourself this afternoon. Determine your strengths and use them to communicate and or interpersonal situations. Do you best use your strengths? If your strength is direct communication, you're a fluent speaker, and do you use that to your advantage? Do you use that in all the ways that you could use that? What's your weaknesses? And don't say you don't have a weakness, because I got in here. Everybody has some sort of weakness. So work on that. Some people don't like to get up in front of people. So force yourself. Force yourself to get up in front of people and overcome that. And opportunities to cover how to remedy your weaknesses and make the best of your strengths. Take a class, read a book, talk to people, mentor someone, do a literacy program at the library, which will put you in front of someone who you'll be teaching, get over whatever it is you have a problem with. And then threats. How do your weaknesses negatively affect your relationships and your communication skills? If you know you have a weakness that poses you problems, embarrassment, not wanting to get up in front of people, your writing skills are poor, work on it, because they can be overcome. Remember the 80-20% rule? It's usually in management, but I used it for today's presentation. We want to retain 80% of our volunteers and only do 20% of the work, right? We don't want it flip-flopped. We don't want to continually keep replacing. So recruitment and retention has to do with developing relationships. Relationships is what it's all about. If you don't have a good relationship with someone, chances are not going to stay. So work smarter with better verbal and nonverbal communication and interpersonal and refinement skills. We all have benchmarks, and in order to reach those benchmarks, we have to work smarter. There's no sense being redundant and doing the same thing over and over. So I do have a website, but I don't know if we have time. Do we have time? Let me see which one it is.
We'll see the flyers.
Yeah. may not play.
Just hit copy,
Huh?
hit copy link.
How about open? Hopefully it plays, hopefully there's sound.
Copy the link and let's open Firefox.
Why don't you come up here and do that for me, John? You be faster.
He was dinking around with this earlier.
You have to realize
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
plug in somewhere for
hear
this.
where I'm calling from.
There we go.
Thanks, John, you did that so fast, I'd still been
I
trying.
can't wait to get you on the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, just in time. Well,
They are feeling very stubborn and are more than likely in a mood to reject any of the opinions you may provide. A person that locks their ankles together is essentially biting their lip and holding back a negative emotion, or are just fearful or uncertain. And if a person locks one foot around their calf or thigh, they are showing signs of timidness. Approach them as a friend in a low-key, submissive way to relax them. If a person sits oddly in a chair, they are showing you that they don't see you as important and they are the dominant person in the room. And if they place the back of the chair in front of you, they are in the mood to take control of your situation and are very dominant and stubborn and aggressive. Women specifically cross and uncross their legs around people they like, and more specifically cross their legs in a parallel manner when they really like someone. I never sit like this because it's terribly uncomfortable, but I'm demonstrating how a woman would sit whenever she would be attracted to somebody. You can check to see that a smile is sincere by checking for wrinkles around the eyes. I naturally have wrinkles around my eyes. I'm trying to make a fake smile and have a hard time doing it. But this is more of what I mean by a real smile. Also, if you smile at a person, they will often respond as well. People that smile a lot often will receive positive reaction, and when a person is smiling, they are more than likely telling you the truth. A false smile will often appear stronger on one side of the face versus the other, while a tight-lipped smile in which teeth are not shown tell you that the person is trying to keep a secret. A smile in which the mouth is open is trying to get others to believe you are comical. Also, a smile in which the person has their head turned down and their eyes are aimed upward is used to show that the person is attracted. And finally, what exactly does laughing and yawning mean? Laughing is attractive and makes you, as well as others, feel comfortable. And as people age, they actually will start to laugh a great deal less. For example, an average preschooler laughs 400 times per day versus the average adult who only laughs 15. In fact, laughter has a lot more to do with bonding than it does with humor. And likewise, yawning is used by people to build rapport and avoid aggression. Hope you liked this presentation. Took a while to put together. Leave any questions or comments, but otherwise, till next time.
Oh, that was cute.
That's very nice.
Okay, so nonverbal language communication is not scientific. There's always exceptions to it. So it's not like that person's doing that, so that's what they mean. There's other things, factors you have to take into consideration. And that's the extent of my presentation. Any questions? Comments?
Nice job.
Yes.
Very nice.
I'm so glad the pictures came up.
Take your flash drive now.
Yeah.